Welcome back, Tribe. I have one here. Bloomberg Originals again. Says, why young people are in so much debt? What's happening?
Young people are facing a serious debt problem. Between 2022 and 2023, boomers saw a slight decrease in debt year over year, while Gen X saw a slight uptick. But millennials saw their average debt increase by 8%, and Gen Z more than 15%.
Many young adults are finding themselves sinking deeper into debt.
This credit card concern seems to be particularly true for Gen Z.
Young people today are being shut out of the American dream.
I wonder why.
Worse off are younger generations. And
A
how
lot
did it
worse.
get so bad?
Printing money. Printing money. That's how it got so bad. Hey, we keep printing. You get a handout. You get a handout. You get a tax deduction. You get a tax deduction. Oh, wait, we got to send more money overseas. Oh, no, spend more on this program. Oh, you want some money? Here's some money. Let's house some illegals. Let's give some money to these countries here. What else are we doing? Okay, dude. Let me not get into it. Let's just let it
In
play.
debt for education?
Oh my God. I didn't know there was a word for it. Doom spending. I start getting overwhelmed about, okay, how am I going to pay this off?
If you ask me how I would describe my generation financially, broke. Very broke.
The minimum wage is so low and it's not livable.
I don't feel like wages have kept up with inflation at all.
Do I feel like my income has kept up with the rising cost of food and cost of living in general? Absolutely not. I now make probably just a little bit more than I did when I finished undergrad in 2017, meaning like my income has not gone up much at all. And I have a whole master's degree now.
Meet Shaheen, a licensed therapist living in Brooklyn.
The difference between Gen Z, millennials, and the Gen X and the boomers, they had a lot more opportunity because their wages kind of matched up with how much things cost.
They're not wrong. Younger people today are making less than older people did at the same age. Adjusting for inflation, 22 to 24-year-olds in 2013 were making almost $52,000 a year. That number today, down to $45,000. And that difference puts Gen Z in a tough spot. In 2013, the debt-to-income ratio for the same age group was 11.76%. Today, it's more than 16%.
Technically, younger generations today are making more than any other generation did. But when you adjust for inflation, which is, relative to the cost of everything else to maintain a lifestyle, it is less.
And from 2021 to 2022, for those aged
Way less, because the inflation numbers they're using is what the books have been getting cooked recently with. Like, we know it's way more than what they're reporting. We're being bullshitted. So I wonder just how much lower our debt to income ratio is and purchasing power for the average person. It's got to be absolute shit, straight in the gutter, because I earned more than my father could ever dream of making in a month. And I'm telling you, with his fucking income from 1991, he was in a better position than I was. He could afford more things. He could buy a house. He had money to go on trips, on vacations every year, multiple times. And that's the story with a lot of us.
35 to 44, median income fell 0.8%, compared to a 0.6% drop for those aged 25 to 34. But for the 15 to 24-year-olds, median income fell 5.8%. That means the youngest generation saw the most significant drop in median income when adjusted for inflation.
Emotionally, about my wages and income, I cannot tell you how much anxiety I live through on a daily basis. I don't have a safety net. I don't have anybody financially backing me. I don't have a support system. I don't have anybody to go to if I don't hold it all together. And that is anxiety inducing.
The gap between wages and cost of living has pushed many younger people to increasingly turn to credit cards to pay for goods and services. Last year, the average credit card balance for early 20-somethings was 26% higher than the balance millennials carried at the same age in 2013. Not only is Gen Z racking up credit card debt faster than any other generation, but 1 in 7 Gen Z credit card users are reportedly
That's insane, dude. Maxed out. Why? Because they can't afford anything. What happened after 2020? Everything went upside down. We were on the way to recovery. We were doing just fine until that shit happened. And we had the largest upward transfer of wealth. And society hasn't really fully recovered since then. We've been in a weird limbo. And we're printing more money than ever. Inflation is running away from us. The Fed doesn't know what they're doing, and people are feeling the crunch for it. I don't see this getting better anytime soon, honestly. How can you turn this around? This has been decades in the making. We kicked the can down the road with 2008. You guys remember that? The housing bubble? We never really solved that problem. We just printed more money, bailed out the banks that were liable for what happened. They gave themselves record bonuses, and we were left holding the fucking bag. We didn't fix anything. And so now everything is just like exacerbated to the point where like, damn, we can't really afford shit. People are having to choose between like turning on the electricity, heating their home, or got to buy the store brand shit now and got to get a huge sack of rice. And I'm on the rice and beans and whatever other shitty cut of meat, if you can't even afford that diet now. People are making hard choices. In America, in Western Europe, we're not talking about some ghetto ass broke. No, dude, these are normal people that had their quality of life basically cut in half.
Maxed out.
In this period of high inflation, people are just trying to maintain the lifestyles that they've always had, and it just costs more.
Increasingly, these low wages are also compounded with another big challenge for younger generations: rising housing costs.
What I'm more worried about after graduation is affording a house. The market right now is kind of scary.
There's no way I could own a home. That's like a far-fetched dream. The cost of like homes has just changed dramatically. It's like really hard to even rent.
The older generations just do not have a realistic view of exactly what we're dealing with. They grew up in a time period where you could go to work, you could like work a 9 to 5 and only that 9 to 5. And over time, you would be able to save up enough to buy a home. That's not the standard anymore.
The landscape for housing, both renting and buying, looks very different for young people today. Thanks to soaring prices and high interest rates, older generations, including baby boomers and Gen Xers, still make up the majority share of home buyers.
Of course.
The barrier to entry to buy a home is much higher. You have to have a bigger down payment because the median value of a home is over $400,000, right? At the same time, borrowing costs are higher. They're at 7%. And so taken all together, you just need to save a lot more and a lot longer to be able to buy, a starter home.
For renters, it's also troubling. Rents nationwide climbed 30% from 2019 to 2023, while wages across the country were only up 20%.
Housing costs are just taking up that much more of their paycheck.
The rent goes up every year. The wages do not. Depending on the month, it can be upwards of like 50% of my income.
Between housing being so expensive and income not keeping up with inflation, the debt crisis for younger generations has only intensified. But for many, including Shaheem, there's another much larger obstacle looming over them.
If I had to say which debt scares me the most, it is hands down my student loans.
My tuition is around $90,000 a year, which is insane. You meet someone
What?
from another country and they're like, it's what? Like, that's a lot of money.
I don't know the balance. Last time I checked, it was upwards of $150,000-$60,000.
One of the biggest debt burdens that they'll take on, and one of the first debts most Americans take on.
More than ever before, the very thing young adults are told to do to secure their future is one of the biggest reasons that the future is increasingly in doubt.
We're seeing college enrollment levels drop, or we're seeing that some students are trying to be smarter about, how they're going to college. Some are living at home, some are foregoing college altogether.
Let's look at the average cost of public universities since 1970, when a year's tuition cost around $1,300. In 2020, public university tuition was over $21,000 yearly. Of course, that's 50 years worth of inflation, but when we adjust for said inflation, the cost to attend public university in 1970 was only around $10,000, less than half of today's cost. When we look at the cost of private universities adjusted for inflation, it's a huge jump too, to more than $52,000 compared to less than $21,000 in 1970.
Those really high student debt level burdens are not common in other countries. We're seeing a mass kind of disillusionment with higher education. I think getting a 4-year college degree used to be so intertwined with the American dream, and some young people are rejecting that.
In one poll, more than half of those who borrowed for education say that student loan debt has caused them to put off making important financial decisions.
I grew up in abject poverty. I went to school, I graduated, I did all of the things that they said that I should do, and I am still stuck in the same spot.
This massive burden, combined with others for their generation, paints a bleak picture for the debt crisis. But there's a fourth, lesser-known reason that feeds off of this bleak outlook. It's called doom spending.
doom spending.
Doom spending to cope with the stress.
Home ownership or starting a family is so out of reach.
I think that people want to treat themselves to small luxuries
that'll bring us a semblance of the kind of adulthood we were promised.
Doom spending. I love it.
It kind of makes us, feel a little bit happier about the situation. So if it's going to be like this regardless, I might as well get something.
That's the feeling they have, doom, impending doom. Like they have no say in the future, no stake. Like there's nothing they can do. The door isn't clear for the next 10, 15, 20 years of their life. So they don't want to make a plan. They're too anxious and stressed out and depressed. So they'll go and use, this is what I've been saying the whole time, doom spending, right? Check this out. We said that society is set up in a way to make you vulnerable emotionally, to separate you from like a man from a woman, to get you hating each other with the culture wars and the tribalism, right? The political extremism on both sides, right? They're at the top. They're making a society where they're getting you emotionally vulnerable because people that are emotionally vulnerable spend money on product. They gave it a cute little name called doom spending. But what it really is the system has been designing society in this direction precisely for this reason. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You will not afford a car. You will not afford a house. And the only things you can buy will be little trinkets. The rest you will pay, just like rent, monthly, little subscriptions, little services here and there, forever, for life, because that's how they make the most money off of you. This is the system that they're creating. It's happening before your very eyes. Here it is. Here's the first iteration coming to life now. We gave it a name, doom spending. I must cope with my feelings of isolation, hopelessness, and insecurity by spending on little trinkets to make myself feel better, the little dopamine hit.
For myself that I like and enjoy.
Holy
For
shit.
me, it's like shopping, clothing,
Travel.
It does alleviate some of the stress.
Doom spending is like retail therapy with a fatalist twist. A lot of people feel hopeless or pessimistic about their financial futures, and that's manifesting in a lot of different ways. Some people turn to doom spending.
And this consumer habit is backed by research.
So in one of my research papers, I looked to ask the question, why do people not save enough for retirement ages?
That's Stephen Wu, an economics professor at Hamilton College.
And there have been many explanations for why people do not save. Sometimes people lack the information about how to save. Some people might lack self-control to do so. They may know that they should save, but that they're unable to do so. And I introduce another phenomenon, this idea that perhaps people are fatalistic. They think that whatever they do doesn't necessarily affect their future outcome.
Professor Wu's study found that those who doom spend or have fatalistic tendencies believe they have little or no control over their future.
So that may lead to individuals to just throw their hands up and say,
Doomers.
well, why worry about saving now? Because even if
Doomers, bro. And they're all over the comment section on every video. I've been noticing it too. In the comment section, it used to be get after it, wake up every day, no matter how hard it is, blah, blah, to like doomer comments. Doomer, more and more. What's the point? Why am I even trying anymore? Flip the board. I hate this society. I hope it all comes crashing down one day. You're still in it, bro. It'll be crashing with you in it. You will not get a lion's share of what comes next. You are at the bottom of the totem pole. You will be the one that gets sacrificed. But the doomer doesn't care because he has the fatalistic mindset of like, yeah, whatever. It's not like I had any chance anyways. Watch, read. There'll be doomers in the comments, bro. I guarantee you.
I do save, I may still have financial difficulties in the future.
Instead of saving, many are splurging.
Which is exactly where they want you. That's the whole point of creating this society in the way that it is. You've been psychologically whipped by the system. That's what it is to become one of these people.
Splurging on luxury goods to soothe their economic despair. And while 27% of Americans of all ages admit to doom spending, the rates are even higher among Gen Z and millennials at 35 and 43% respectively.
Well, I believe that people do it because they need a dopamine hit.
Younger generations are also growing up in an online environment of hyperconsumption.
People want this kind of TikTok, Instagram-worthy lifestyle. Never before have young people been so exposed to this aspirational lifestyle.
Partner with L'Oreal Paris to show you
where people kind of have these expectations of success and what they want their lives to look like. A connection from David Young. And those things cost.
Man, it's crazy, right? Do you see like that reel they were flipping through, like what Instagram was when it first started? You guys remember that shit? It was just you sharing some photos about your life. And then it morphed into this piece of shit, just shoving products down your throat nonstop. Everybody doing sponsored content, paid advertisements. It's all fake. It's all fake. It's not even real anymore. Nobody even uses Instagram to like share personal shit anymore. Everybody's like pushing something, pushing a fake lifestyle at the very least. If you're not monetarily benefiting, it's just so different than what it used to be, man. The days of MySpace and all that shit. You remember that? The cringy music on your homepages, cringy ass quotes and stuff. Boy, oh boy, did we have no idea what this monstrosity would morph into.
To look like connections and David, yeah.
Look at
And
that shit.
those things cost more.
And the rise of buy now, pay later products has driven Gen Z into more debt.
Ah, of course.
Today, younger people have Venmo, they have PayPal, they have buy now, pay later, they have earned wage access, they have cash advance app on their phone. It's so easy to lose track of how much you're spending.
So what does the future of this ballooning debt crisis hold for young adults?
Doom.
Many are looking to the government for help, but young people would need sweeping policy change to truly lessen the burden of debt.
The emotional toll on younger people facing this debt crisis is immeasurable.
There is a lot of uncertainty, and I think perhaps we may see people saving less. When those generations get older, they may be less prepared for retirement age.
Younger generations face some of the most difficult economic headwinds of their time that are forcing them to take on more debt to achieve the same lifestyle that generation.
What are you talking about, lady? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, you fucking lazy bum. You just don't work hard enough. You kids don't know what hard work really is with your phones and them goddamn tablets in them phones. All you do is scroll all day. Get a job. Anyways, boomers who bought their houses for like 2 fucking chickens and half an egg. We're not trying to hear that shit. You can hardly open an email. I try to shit on every boomer. I know there's older guys in here, women as well, that know how hard it is because they have kids. But there are some in your generation that just have their head up their ass. They have no idea what it's like. Holy moly. If you think that's really what it is, just pretend you were 20 years old again. Just pretend for me. Go over on Zillow or whatever, like apartment.com, and try to rent a place in your neighborhood right now. Just rent. Just pretend you just graduated college and you're making whatever it is that job pays, and just try to pay for all the shit you have right now. Yeah, it's kind of wild. Thoughts on the episode, guys, as usual. Appreciate you for tuning in. Hit the like, subscribe. We're being suppressed, the usual. Can't say some of this shit out loud, apparently. And it hurts people's feelings. And we'll see you on the next one. Subscribe to the second channel, too, please, if you have it. Check it out. We do anti-doomer content there all the time. Links in the description below. Take care, everybody.